watch this closely is the key. I think one of the things that will give us a bit of an indication on what's going to happen to gold, the dollar index. And Lloyd's up next. Lloyd, are you with us?
Hi, Paul. Yep, I'm around.
Hey, Lloyd. Nice to have you on board. I'm doing a little introduction to each of the traders when I remember today. Full-time trader and investor, Lloyd. Creative, a bit of a rule breaker as a trader. Do this for a living nowadays, right?
Bit of a rule breaker. Yep. Full-time trader, living off purely from trading nowadays.
Not reckless, right, mate? Just you're a bit more aggressive than some, right?
Yeah. I mean, I probably it's just in my nature, just to keep on pushing the border, just keep on discovering things, and just to make life a bit interesting for myself.
Yeah, mate. It's a great adventure, isn't it? Trading for a living. It does continue to provide you the need to get better and some challenges, but boy, it's rewarding when it works out, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the rewards is. I mean, I'll still stick by what I've learned prior. Is that trading is really it's really where the easy money is, but unfortunately we are always up against ourselves, and that's the hardest part because guiding ourselves to admit that we are wrong is always one of the hardest things to do.
Cheers for the feedback on Facebook, John. Much appreciated to see that in there. It's nice to see some positive stuff in there. Lloyd, let's talk dollar index and currency strength. What do you got for us?
Yep, so let me jump over to the screen. I think I got some really interesting analysis on the currency indices for this week. So let me share it with you guys. Right. So the first up on the list, wait a minute. Okay. So I did a bit of shuffling. The Aussie index, Australian currency index, I think I'm still bullish about it. Yeah, we still got very nice cyclicity. Price, in fact, has very, very beautifully retested the short-term horizontal level, and now it's just going above. So the momentum does reflect that. So I think this is rather straightforward. Got nothing much for that. The Canadian index, same thing, very nice cyclicity. Early start of the week was a bit wobbly, and now the momentum for buying is back. So I think it should comfortably hit to 77.5. I don't see any major support or resistance issue for that. Now coming down, the Kiwi is getting a bit interesting for me already. Yeah. So as of last week, I'm still bullish about it. But as you can see, this particular level over here, which is about a 67.5, proves to be a really strong level that price seems to be unable to break. Yeah, so for the chart patterns, they would read this as a triple top formation, I guess. Yeah. So for anybody who's trading Kiwi this week, I would say that although the trend is with them, I mean, we still see really nice cyclicity from here onwards. The thing is that this horizontal level should not be ignored. Yeah, so I would load up the position, but at probably a reduced risk from henceforth. Yeah, so Kiwi's got to get a bit cautious for me. Now, Swiss, been saying for the past 2 weeks, it's going to range, so it's still ranging at 110. Now, from Swiss onwards, there is a very interesting phenomenon. You see, so under usual trending situations, I would see the peaks and valley from the histogram. Now, for a ranging currency, all I'm reading from the histogram is just seller, seller, seller. There's barely any buyers in here. Yeah. So from the past record, when it's clearly a ranging situation and I don't see any buying momentum, there's only one question at the back of my head is where are the buyers? It's either they have already loaded up their positions and the buyers from the henceforth is actually to the long side. It's actually not to the seller side because the seller has already shown their hands already. Yeah, so Swiss, I would say I park in the middle. It's still ranging, but as of officially this week, I would say my bias is towards the long side for the spring to actually, I would say the spring is actually loaded already. Yen, same thing. You can see that price is still ranging, yeah, but the histogram is behaving as per normal. So I don't think there's anything significant to that. Now, coming to the euro side, ranging, histogram is only the sellers have already shown their hands. Yeah, so this is the interesting thing that I'm reading from the charts. Yeah, so it's that a couple of the currencies has similar behavior. Yeah, so in a way, I would say that as a trader, the opportunity is actually right at our doorstep at this moment for a breakout trade. Really strong indication from there. For the dollar index, you can see that similar behavior by the histogram. Yeah, so it seems that the buyers has already shown their hands. Now we got to guess is where the sellers are. Yeah. So at this stage,
Lloyd, Helen's asking, and this is just really great. I really appreciate these questions, and thanks for answering them, Helen. More people need to ask them and get this stuff. I really appreciate the fact that it gets the stuff clear. What does it mean sellers have shown their hand? I mean, it sounds a bit weird. Why are they showing their hands, Lloyd?
So you can, okay, let me give you a example from the end. So from this part, no, sorry, this part, that'll be a more accurate. So you can see that over here, the buyers have shown their hand. So we can see clear cyclicity just from this part onwards. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. What comes next is we barely see the sellers over here. See, the peaks and valleys are not reflected in the histogram. And what comes next is just pure selling for the next 2 weeks or so.
So, sorry, Lloyd, what you're saying is that there's divergence on the histogram here. That price is putting in higher highs. Sorry, the histogram is putting in, your price is putting in higher highs, but the histogram is putting in lower highs. And it tells us there's divergence and the move is probably coming to an end. In this case, we're talking about the histogram's putting in, price is putting in the same lows, but the histogram's putting in higher lows. And it's divergent, and you believe that means that the buyers are coming back, right?
Yes. Not necessarily the divergence that most people have learned is that higher high and then the oscillators are showing the opposite direction. Not that particular divergence, but conceptually, Paul, you are right, is that we don't see any direction in the chart for this particular period. We don't see any real direction. But on the histogram, there is a direction going on. You can see that sellers are all here. So this is the divergence that I'm really talking about, or rather you are talking about. Yeah. So really in a ranging situation, we should see in the histogram there are equal buyers and sellers. That means equal peaks and valleys, but we don't see it here. So that's the worrying part or interesting part, depending on one's perception.
Lloyd, let me jump in. Helen just asked if it's hidden divergence. You're not talking about the fabled hidden divergence. You're just talking about when you look at it, it's clearly different. That lows are the same lows, and this cryptogram's not putting in, the histogram's not putting in the same lows. And what's more, it's putting in a slightly higher high as well in the midst of all of this stuff. And the histogram and price don't actually line up, and that creates an opportunity to have a look and go, okay, well, that's the momentum here hidden is a little different than what we're seeing on the chart, and we may see the sellers fall over here and the buyers push in.
Yeah. So I think conceptually there's a bit, at this moment, I don't know how to really put it exactly into words, but I think as always, trade what you see. But what I'm suggesting is that, yes, there's a divergence here, and the divergence does suggest that the buyers might be coming back in already, because all we can see are sellers indicated by the histogram. On the chart itself, this is actually a ranging chart. It's just that it does not show on the same histogram. Yeah, I don't know, does that make sense? You know?
Sorry, I missed them. I was just looking at some more questions, so sorry I was away. Look, okay. I think we've done enough on this. So then we'll talk about it every week, and it'll get a bit clearer as we go along, right?
Yeah, it should get clearer along the week. I hope so. Yeah, because I think 3 of the charts have been showing similar tendencies really. So euro is showing the same thing, dollar is showing the same thing. So you can see that dollars, we have no sellers over here. Yeah, there's no selling momentum over here, but we have a horizontal level. Yeah, so I think the sellers might be coming back in pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, if I'm wrong, then all it means that there's a breakout trade coming in. Yeah, short-term wise, that means Julian will be right. Yeah. So, and the last will be actually pound. Now, pound took me by surprise. I think it already broke its cyclicity, broke 130. Now coming back to 128, testing the horizontal level. So as of this week, I'm officially a pound bear. Yeah, pounding the bear. I don't know. So yeah, so that's my ranking for this week.
Cheers, mate. So you just broke up a little bit. You're now a pound bear, right?
Yes.
And you're telling you're right that the histogram Lloyd was talking about, suggesting that buyers are going to come in there. Well, buyers have got a bit more strength than what price is showing us. Is this? And look, it's one of those things, Lloyd. Right? It's not a science, right? This is about histogram gives you a bit of a bias, bit of an indication. Then you look for price action to confirm it, right?
Yeah. So the histogram is trying to tell a story, but as always, like what you mentioned, Paul, wait for the price to confirm it.
Cheers, Lloyd. Thank you very much. We will talk to you next week. Much appreciated. Next in for us today, we have